Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Mary Grace Media. We are live. It is the 2nd of February, 2021, and you're here for a Real Talk with Mary Grace. We are streaming today on Facebook, YouTube, and Clout Hub, and you can follow me on all of those platforms at Mary Grace Media. As you're coming in, please be sure and say hello in the chat, and please feel free to interact respectfully in the chat. And if you're on Facebook, I would appreciate it if you would share this into any groups that you belong to. There is a little bit of suppression going on, as you might have guessed. And if you're on YouTube, please copy the link and then share it into text messages and emails and direct messages and things like that. Whatever platform you're on, please make sure that you leave comments if you come back on the replay. Those comments help us to get seen in the newsfeed, and it helps to get through the algorithms. So I really appreciate everybody watching. I hope everybody had a good weekend, and I hope that you are all just enjoying the show. We have a lot going on. There's all kinds of news coming out. It's sort of like you never know on any given day what's going to happen. And even though our President Trump is on vacation, as I like to say, there's still a lot going on. And one of the things that I'm here to do is just to rally the troops and to keep everybody motivated, to keep their morale up, because I truly believe that this story is not over. And I know that a lot of people can't see how this is going to play out. And that's part of the plan, I believe. And when I talk about the plan, I'm actually talking about God's plan. I know that there is another plan, and I'm believing that that plan is going to play out too. But one thing I want to make very clear is that I'm not just sitting back and just waiting for something to happen in a very passive way. I mean, here I am doing the show, obviously, but I wanted to just emphasize that we are actively expecting and waiting for something good to happen, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit more on the show. I forgot to mention I am on Clout Hub as well, and it should be easy to find if you go to channels on Clout Hub, and you click channel 111. That's Mary Grace, and you click on Watch Now. And then once you get there, you make sure you hit subscribe, because that's going to put you on the email list so that you'll get notified when I go live. They're not going to spam you with emails, so don't worry about that. And while we're talking about email, I want to make sure that everybody is on my email list. Sign up for my email list so that you don't miss information. I'm not going to spam you either, because I don't have time to write a bunch of emails right now, but you are going to get links to my Telegram room and to all of my channels where you can find me. It's also really important that you get on the mailing list, because if I get taken off of any social media, you're going to be able to find me. And I had a lot of people who couldn't find me after I had a lot of people who couldn't find me when I got taken off of Periscope and Twitter, because they didn't follow me on any other platform, even though I kept saying this might not be forever. But now we know, and we're figuring it out. And I do have a Telegram channel, and you can follow my channel. That's where I post things that I find interesting. I'm not super chatty on there. Again, I'm just busy. And so I have a lot going on. I'm building businesses and building an empire. And so we're working on that. I'm not as chatty in there as I was on Twitter. I just like the pithiness of Twitter. And so at some point I'll get there. I'll get on, probably on Gab, and hopefully back on Twitter. And then I'll get a little more active on Clout Hub. So, we'll get it all balanced out, but please do make sure that you go to my website, marygracemedia.com, and wait for the little pop-up to come. And when you get the pop-up, you're going to be able to put your information in. Sometimes people tell me they didn't get the pop-up. It may be just because you've been to the website before. Sometimes you can try from a different device and the pop-up will come. So that would be great. Just get on the mailing list. And Marissa on Facebook is asking, how long are you banned on Twitter? It said it's permanent, but I don't believe it because I can still see Twitter. I can still see my feed. And like on my iPad, I haven't updated the app or anything. And I'm just waiting kind of for the dust to settle. And then I'm going to appeal it. So I believe I'll get back. I had 37,000 followers. Now, I don't know how many they took away. I may come back and only have 5, but we'll see. I haven't given up hope. But, Periscope is going away in March anyway. And so there's that. Okay, it looks like I'm lagging a little bit on the chat, well, on the stream. Oh, well. Okay, so busy weekend here, big weekend, great time, just working and helping some other people get started on their superfoods transformation, getting started with their businesses. It's been a great weekend. I've had a lot of time to do a lot of thinking. We had snow. I didn't have to dig out to go anywhere. I just stayed home and shoveled snow a little bit because I wanted to, and then did work. So I hope everybody else had a good weekend too. Before I forget, though, I did want to let you guys know, in case you don't make it to the end of the show, there is we are doing another superfoods transformation, and we were supposed to have the first coaching call tonight, and we have moved it to next week. So this is actually great because it gives people a chance to order your superfoods and to get everything you need. And if you haven't heard about that, this is just a tremendous opportunity to get the best organic green superfoods on the planet into your body. And if you get scared when you hear the word green foods, don't be, because I actually have I'm one of those people that has been a really sort of picky eater, and everything that I tried, like all the shakes and things and juices and all that, it was just really hard. And this is one of the easiest things I've ever done. So if you're looking for a reset, if you're doing a Daniel fast, if you're coming into Lent and you're wanting to, release some things from your life, this is a great opportunity to do that. What we have really supports that. So fasting, Lent, transforming, losing weight, getting rid of brain fog. There's a lot of things like that. So the great thing about this is that I have a voucher so that you can save $100 or more off of your full month's transformation kit. And so if you email me, info@marygracemedia.com, you're going to get that voucher, and you'll be able to get your order in, and you'll be able to set that up very easily and then jump into the transition with us. I'll talk a little bit more about it at the end, but I wanted to get that in. And it's been a great experience for so many people, including Greg Harvey. I don't know if you watch him, but he's losing a lot of weight, and he is on a journey to lose, I think, 75 pounds. And everybody who goes on the show says, oh my gosh, you're changing before our eyes. And so he's gotten a lot of people who have jumped in and done and started the transformation too. So it's win-win for everybody. Okay. Now, I wanted to talk about something that I put in the title of the, hey, Donald, I wanted to talk about something that I put in the title here, and I called this show Leveling Up. And it's a little bit of a play on words because I had this conversation with a friend today who said, I'll be honest, I just don't see this coming out the way that we want it to. I don't see it, I'm losing faith. And this is a person who's pretty much all in. Now, we all go through those moments, right? We all have those times when we're thinking, I just don't see how this is going to play out. I really don't. And the further we get from January 20th, the harder it gets to see that. And I get that. And I admit that when I left DC on the 20th and I saw everything that was happening, it was one of those things, I was pretty demoralized, because one of the things that's important to understand about Washington, D.C. is that there's just this spirit that hovers over the place. And it's very negative. It's very dark. And the only times that I haven't really felt that is when the city has been flooded with Trump supporters. And that particular day on the 20th of January, we didn't have that. It was just pretty empty and gray, and it was the military and then all of the deep state demonic people in the city. And so, those are the kind of things that you have to shake off and really just clean your soul and release those things, because that's not who God is. He's the God of hope and faith and life. And everything that we're seeing right now in this administration is the opposite of that. And this person that they've installed is really just doing everything possible to show you that you don't matter, to show you that he and his quote administration are anti-prosperity, anti-American, anti-freedom, anti-life, you name it. And it's the opposite of everything that President Trump stands for. And so it's very easy to get down. And in the conversation that I was having with my friend, I said, well, I can see how you feel that way, but I actually have a lot of faith. And I believe 100% that this is going to come out the way that we have, for good, and that it's not over. Just like the president said last week, we haven't finished yet. And I see a lot of signs that that's the case. The thing that I think is so challenging is that they're just throwing it in your face. And so visibly, what the human eye can see and what we sense from their behavior is so ugly and so dark. And it really does look like the end. And I understand that. And I've had those moments. But, I know that I know that I know that it's not over. And I know that God has not changed his mind about America. And so I was telling my friend, I said, I understand that you don't see it right now, but I have faith for both of us. And so you can let me carry you right now. You can let my faith carry you until you are ready to walk again in faith. And it reminded me of a story out of the Bible. There's a story in the Gospels, and it's about a man who was paralyzed, and he wanted to get near Jesus and get healed, but it was impossible. And what happened is kind of interesting, because his friends actually tore the roof apart of the house where Jesus was, and they took him in through the roof to get to Jesus. I'm going to read it to you. And so Jesus was in this house. It says, one day he was teaching. This is Luke 5:17. And he said, one day he was teaching, and there were some Pharisees and teachers of the law sitting there who had come from every village of Galilee and Judea and from Jerusalem. And the power of the Lord was present for him to perform healing. And some men were carrying on a bed a man who was paralyzed, and they were trying to bring him in and to set him down in front of him. But not finding any way to bring him in because of the crowd, they went up on the roof and let him down through the tiles with his stretcher into the middle of the crowd in front of Jesus. Seeing their faith, Jesus said, "Friend, your sins are forgiven you." And so these men, these Pharisees, started challenging Jesus, and it says the scribes and Pharisees began reasoning, saying, "Who is this man who speaks blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but God alone?" But Jesus, aware of their reasonings, answered and said to them, "Why are you reasoning in your hearts? Which is easier, to say your sins have been forgiven you, or to say get up and walk? But so that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins, he said to the paralytic, I say to you, get up and pick up your stretcher and go home." Immediately he got up before them and picked up what he had been lying on and went home glorifying God. They were all struck with astonishment and began glorifying God, and they were filled with fear, saying, "We have seen remarkable things today." Now, that there's a lot about this story that I think is pretty remarkable because uh, you know this there's a lot of parallels to what we're going through today. The people who were with Jesus were the establishment. They were the scribes and the Pharisees. They were people of position. They were the religious, the cool kids of the day. And they had filled the room, and there was no way for this man to get in. Now, the interesting thing about this is he could have come in. Like, they could have gotten up and made a way for him to get in, right? Why do you think they didn't? Why didn't they get up and say, "Oh, hey, bring him in here. Let him see Jesus"? Well, there's a couple of reasons why. One is they were religious leaders and they were self-important. And so they didn't have any reason to look at a paralyzed man who in that day, somebody with a disability was the lowest of the low. They were like a dog. So if they saw these people coming with this man, they wouldn't give 2 seconds of consideration to moving aside and letting him into the building to see Jesus. And the other thing is that they didn't have the revelation of who Jesus was. They didn't have faith. And so the very idea that this man was coming to get healing and that the person that they were listening to could even do anything about his situation didn't even cross their minds. And if you think about that, we're kind of in that situation right now. Think about how many religious leaders. Think about how many religious leaders have. Think about how many religious leaders have come out and completely abandoned Trump. How many prophets have come out and said, "We got it wrong"? Think about that. Think about who has. Sorry, I just got a message. Apologize, everybody. So think about the people who are supposedly in the know, the people who are supposedly the smartest, the people who have. Those are the people who are saying that. Those are the people who bring him to. Hold on just a second, guys. I'm getting interrupted. Okay. 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 No more interruptions in Jesus' name. Okay. So, all right, where was I? Basically, what I was going to say is that these guys were bringing their friend in, and the people that had the ability actually to put him in a place of getting healed and getting the help he needed, they didn't even come forward to do that. And in fact, they were actually there to challenge God, to challenge Jesus. And that's what they did, right? They were trying to figure out what was going on when he actually performed the miracle. And so the interesting thing about this is that the friends, like, imagine if you're the one who's paralyzed. There's no hope, right? There's not a hospital, there's not a rehab center that's going to help you work out and at least get some strength in your arms or whatever. They didn't have the modern facilities that we have right now. Okay. And so imagine the situation, right? Where you go and you literally can't walk and you think, this is my chance. This is my chance. He's in my town. I want to go see him. Somebody bring me to see him. And maybe he can help me, he can heal me. And then you get there and everybody around you tells you, go away. There's no room for you. Go away. There's no room for you. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Okay. I'll be right with you guys. Okay. I apologize. Just a client. Okay. All right, now I'm getting interrupted again. This is one of those days. Okay, hold on, everybody. Okay, you'd almost think that somebody doesn't want me to get through this message. Isn't that interesting? Like interruptions all around. Okay, we're going to keep going here. Now, okay, all right. Okay, so, okay, I'm back. Where was I? Let me get back to my story. Now, I was just saying, back to faith. This man knew what he wanted. He had belief, he had faith. But okay, give me just 1 second. I apologize. This is just one of those things. Hold on. Okay, here we are. I hope somebody kept the room going. Just very interesting. I go the whole day and don't get interrupted. And here we are. Okay. Now I'm gonna switch topics for a minute and I'm gonna come back to this because we're not gonna be deterred, but I'm gonna come back to it. Okay. So I wanted to talk about yeah, it's never a dull moment, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about what I'm seeing happen and some of the things that have come up in the news. And there are people who are doing a lot of news right now. They're giving you sort of the news of the day. There's some different outlets that are doing that. One of the good ones is Steel Truth. That's Ann Vandersteel. She comes on at 9 Eastern on she comes on at 9 Eastern. She actually has her own show streaming on her website now at steeltruth.com. So make sure you check her out. She's been taken off of YouTube multiple times. And so she gets some really good guests, breaking news and things like that. But I did want to emphasize some of the things that I've been seeing and observing, and because the whole point of what I'm trying to say right now is that this is not a done deal. That what we're seeing with a fake presidency, with a fake inauguration, with a person that's been installed and is whipping out executive actions, like 5 a day or something, that's not the end of the story. And I want to really emphasize that. I don't know how it's going to be resolved. If I knew, then everybody else would know. if people in Washington knew, then everybody else would know. And I've emphasized that time and time again. And so back to what I was saying, and there's some clues that let me think that too, but back to what I was saying about having faith. The whole point of having faith is that we don't always have enough faith ourselves. And so, there are people like me who have more than enough faith. I 100% believe that our president is going to be back, and that it's not going to be in 2024, that we're not going to wait that long, that there's something in the works that is going to resolve this. And I have people telling me that it's just not going to happen. I have friends, I'm sure, who think I'm like crazy. And that's okay. That's okay, because I know that I know that I know. I know that God hasn't abandoned America and the world to communism and totalitarianism. I just know that. I've been all over the world. I've seen what it's they know, they see. Just like what I left in my country. And I think that that's important to understand, because President Trump told us over and over and over, America will never be a communist country. So either he's the biggest liar on the planet, and he's not a closer, and he doesn't keep his promises, and he doesn't do what he says he's going to do, or he's right. And based on his track record and based on what he was able to accomplish for all of the time that everybody was fighting him and trying to destroy him, and people are telling me now that the sound keeps stopping and starting, and I don't know what to do about that because my feed is getting frozen again. And I need my intercessors right now to pray through this, because I was having the same issues last week, and the Restream people told me that it was my browser, that I needed to clear it, and I did that. And so I'm just going to keep talking, and if the platform that you're on is lagging, switch to a different one. So I'm going to just keep going, okay? Because I'm just not going to stop. I'm not going to be deterred. At some point, I may have to get my own, computer. My own, my own network. Okay, so, but the point that I was making is that, there's just nothing, that indicates to me that President Trump did a 180 turn and walked away and said, yeah, no, I tried. I'm just done. Okay. And so again, going back to what I was saying about the paralyzed man, everybody around him was saying, not possible. You can't even get in the room. You don't have a seat at the table. You're not going to get even close to Jesus. And even if you did, he couldn't fix this. Because that's what they believed. That's what they were thinking. And so, And then President Trump last week literally said, "We're not finished." Okay? So everything that people are seeing with their eyes is completely out of character for Trump. Completely out of character. And so there are things happening that we don't know about. And so I really want you to understand that. And so, my message to you today is, just like these men, just like this man couldn't even get in the room, and he may have even said, "Well, that's it. We can't get in," you know? Um, his friends said, "Oh, wait, there's another way." And they literally went on the roof. And if you've ever been to Greece or places, Turkey or anywhere in the Middle East, you know that the houses are made in such a way that you can walk up stairs, and sometimes you can walk on the roof, or you can get onto a little terrace that's connected to the roof. Everything, there's a lot of hills, and so things are terraced. And like there are places even where people park on top of their house because the house is, terraced into a hillside. And so you park on top of the house and then you walk down the stairs to get in. And so in this particular case, they went up on the roof and they started removing tiles, and they took enough tiles off that they then lowered him into the room. So imagine if you're one of the scribes and the Pharisees, and you told these people like to shoo, get away, right? If you've told them that, I just reminded me of a terminology that I remember in when I lived in South Africa. There's a really mean thing that you say, like if a stray dog comes, I think you say "footsie," like that, and it's basically like, just go away, swine, right? It's a really demeaning term, and I just picture them saying something like that to him. And so now, what happens? They're sitting there thinking that they're all that, and they've got Jesus teaching them and talking to them, and they're the top elites in this area, and then all of a sudden somebody starts taking the tiles off the roof. Can you picture it? God always does things in such a strange way that you wouldn't expect. So you're sitting there, and yeah, that's the term, right, JC? Footsie, like, you know. But they're sitting there, and imagine you've got like your fine linen robe on, and you're listening to this great teacher, and all of a sudden there's dust that starts falling because it's a really dry climate, right? You're sitting there, and then like you hear this noise above you, and you hear somebody on the roof, and then this like there's dust, and then there's dust that gets in your beard, and then there's a little more like chunks of dirt that are falling down because these guys are taking the roof off. Imagine. Can you guys picture it? And then the next thing you know, they're going, excuse me, pardon me, make way. And they're lowering things down through the roof. And you're a Pharisee and a scribe. Like picture, you know, like Chuck Schumer or Jerry Nadler or Nancy sitting there and having somebody like lower the ropes to get into the Senate chamber. I mean, look how they freaked out when people walked into the chambers on the 6th, and they weren't even they just walked in the door. So can you picture it? And these people, yeah, these people were probably freaking out. And then all of a sudden these people lower their friend down. I mean, they had so much faith that they were willing to be ridiculous. They were willing to be humiliated. They were willing to go to break all of the social norms. I mean, they were bringing, I can't emphasize this enough. It wasn't just like they just said, they pushed elbows aside and said, excuse me, pardon me, we have an appointment. Jesus said he could see us. Our name is on the list. Look at the list. There's my name right there, or you've got like your badge and you show them and, oh, we're press, let us in. They didn't do anything like that. I mean, they literally took the roof off. Imagine that. Imagine having that much faith and having that much chutzpah and being able to literally take the roof off and embarrass yourself. And this is a village, so everybody in the village knows who you are. And so then before you realize it, all of the gossips, all the town gossips are on the Nextdoor app saying, did you hear what happened? Did you see what happened? Did you see those guys? Do you see they're taking the roof off? Come out here. Look at what's happening right now. These men are taking the roof off. They're interrupting this teaching. The rabbi is there. What are they doing? Like the gossip was flying. This wasn't one of those isolated incidents that nobody knew about. They're literally making a spectacle of themselves. And so I'm telling you this story because that's where we are. Those of us who haven't given up, we're those people that are we're leveling up, right? We're leveling up in our faith. We're leveling up in our belief. And we're telling these people, I still believe it. I believe it enough that I'm going to take the roof off and walk into a room full of elites and people that absolutely would tell me to go pound sand and think that I'm crazy. And I have enough faith. I have faith for people who don't even believe they can get in the door and that we no longer have a seat at the table for what the president is doing. But I have that faith. And there are other people too. And so picture that scene. What are the odds that the village didn't brand those people as crazy? That's where we are right now. Those of us who have the faith, those of us who aren't giving up, those of us who know that we know that we know, people might think we're a little bit crazy. And you know what? I don't care. That's okay. I'm fine with that, because everybody that has believed for what God has promised over the years, they have most likely, more than likely, been branded as crazy. The people who have the faith. You look at the people who are holding the line right now. You look at the people who are really exposing the corruption. You look at the people who are standing in faith. They're being labeled false prophets. They're being called crazy. Even like Lynn Wood is exposing all this truth, and now the Bar Association is threatening to submit him to a mental health review. That's what they do. They always try to put you in the crazy box when they can't control you and they can't control the outcome. That's the situation that we're in right now. And you're going to have family members who think you're crazy. But here's the thing. All the time that we've been supporting Trump, everybody thinks something of us. Everybody thinks that, we're deplorables. Everybody thinks that we're crazy. Everybody thinks that we support a racist, a misogynist, all of the lies about him. And so we're branded in that way anyway. And you know what? But I would rather be called crazy on the side of righteousness and truth than to be called sane and standing with a lie. You can call me crazy all day long, because I have the faith to stand with what I know is true. And I know that this isn't over. And so anybody who can stand with me, great. Let's stand and have the faith for the people who don't have that faith right now, like my friend that I was talking to. And we may waver. There may be days when I don't have the faith. And so there are other people who are going to be the ones that take off the roof and help me to level up in my faith and get me to a place where I can see the work of God. And I'll tell you one thing that is true all day long, and that is that there aren't really any solutions that God has ever come up with that meet with people's idea of normal. And I was talking about this last week. I was talking about Gideon. When God used Gideon and his army of 300 to defeat the Midianites. And that was remarkable, because in the time of in that time, they had been totally defeated, and everything looked like it was lost. It looked like the whole world was lost, and then God gave them a plan for defeating the enemy, and it was really just not a good plan. Like it was kind of a bad plan. It was go out on the hillside and everybody blow a trumpet. And if you're not familiar with that story, I recommend that you go and read it. It's in Judges, I think, chapter 6. And it was amazing because, like, who thinks that blowing trumpets is a winning battle strategy? That was God's strategy, you know? And then here's what I found out. Somebody actually put this in my chat. I don't know who it was, but I saw it and I had this aha moment. So I realized that um, somebody said that the reason that blowing the trumpets and lighting the lamps was so effective was that normally you would only have one bugler or trumpeter for every certain number of soldiers in an army. And so, one trumpeter would represent a company of, I don't know, maybe 100. And so when the Midianites heard and saw that there were hundreds and hundreds of men blowing trumpets, they automatically assumed that there were hundreds of thousands of men behind them, that each trumpeter represented a company of like 100. I'm not using my military terms correctly, but you get my point. And God knew that. God already knew when he gave them that strategy that that's how that would work. Now, if we sit there and try to reason it out, we would just sit there thinking and maybe arguing with God and saying, "Okay, God, we see an army that has defeated us time and time and time again and beat us down and labeled us and called us the lowest of the low and the worst of the worst. And now you're telling us to come out here and blow trumpets when they want to kill us. I mean, they really do want to kill you, right?" And so they're negotiating with God, right? They're saying this is really not a winning plan. I would rather have a weapon. And God just says, "Well, I've already given you the victory. And so I want you to just obey me and trust me." And that's how God routed the Midianites, because he put the fear in them. And so you imagine what's happening right now with these people who have literally terrorized our country and sold our country into the grip of the globalists for all of these years. Imagine when the fear of the armies of the living God come upon them when they hear the sound of the trump and they realize that the battle is far from over. Think about that. Think about what God is doing and think about how he can accomplish this in ways that nobody could expect. That's really my message for today. I want people to understand that there's no impossible with God. And I remember when I was reading the account of Corrie ten Boom, who was a political prisoner during World War II. She and her family were sent to a concentration camp because they had a secret room in their house where they hid refugees. They hid Jews from the Nazis, and they were from Holland. And so she was in a concentration camp. Her father died. Her sister died right next to her, and her captors were very brutal. And she maintained her faith the entire time in God. And I can't imagine how hard that was, what she went through. Nobody can imagine that. But, she went on to write a book and she went on to become a public speaker, and God used her mightily to bring a lot of people to Christ. And one of the things that she said in her book, The Hiding Place, is she said, "There is no pit so deep that the love of God is not deeper still." And we're in that place in our country where it really looks like everything has descended into darkness. And it looks like there's no turning back. It really looks like that evil has won. And I 100% want to tell you that that's not true, and that God has a plan for America. And the the thing about it is, you know, he teaches us to pray, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And I truly believe that his will for this earth is that the kingdom of God be manifested, be made manifest. And I just want to encourage you. And one of the things that is being exposed right now is the evil that's around us and that has been allowed to fester, and that has been allowed to grow and infiltrate so many areas of our society. And one of the things that I believe is happening, and one of the reasons that we didn't get the quick solution that we wanted to on November 3rd, and again on January 6th, and again on January 20th, is that I really believe that I don't believe that God is plunging us into a time of darkness, but I believe that He's allowing more people to wake up and to really see just what a narrow miss we're having right now. I do believe that. And I don't believe that it's going to take a long time, but I do believe that there is that there's a time that people really have to see, because there are a lot of people who still don't get what happened here, and they don't actually understand that we're at war. They really don't get it. And so we can never get back into this place as a society. We can never ever be back here. So I don't know if I have any moderators on YouTube, but I would appreciate some help over there. I've got a lot of accounts coming in from overseas, so if you could take a look at that, I would appreciate it. Yeah, there's something going over there. Okay. So the point really is that this is God is at work. God is really moving here. And imagine the faith of that man when he was healed, when they went through the roof, and then had an encounter with Jesus, even after everybody told them, no, that you can't do that. You can't come in here. You don't have a place at the table. And we've been told that for a long time. And Americans have been told that, conservatives have been told that, the left is trying to cancel people literally every single day. And so God is really bringing an awareness that I think people have missed. And that's what I think is happening. There's a lot of little signs too. Somebody sent me a picture today of President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and I thought it was very. He was showing. Hold on a second. Call it Mar. Call it Mar-a-Lago, and and I want to show you this picture because the caption of the person who put it up, who zoomed in, said, "Anyone care to explain why Trump is apparently meeting via video conference with the uniformed military officials after leaving office, but nothing's happening?" So this is the picture that he put up. It's not that clear. I'll put it in my Telegram room, but you can see like there's a bunch of troops if you look right up here, right? So you can see that, right? So that is that's kind of interesting, isn't it? I'll put it on my Telegram channel. So the Telegram channel by the way, is Mary Grace Media Official, and it's a public channel, so you can go and follow it there. Uh, so I just think that it's really interesting. Yeah, there's he's it's definitely far from over, you know. Yeah. So about the frozen, the feed is getting frozen. They're suppressing my numbers. I see in the chat that you're getting frozen. You might need to go out and come back in. My system here is lagging. I have gigabit internet. I have, I'm on a browser. I'm not on Chrome. That was sort of bloating down my computer. Uh, I'm doing the best that I can here to get around that. But I honestly think that these platforms are actually suppressing my reach. And so please, yeah, so please just be patient with me. We're doing the best we can on what we have. Try watching on CloutHub. I tend to think that CloutHub is better on your browser than an interesting comment in here. Yeah, I'm getting text messages from Trump's reelection campaign. I received two today, and they called him President Trump, not former president. Yeah, I mean, he's President Trump, so he is. I mean, he's the president. He won. I mean, a bank robber isn't a banker, right? I mean, you can say that that guy is, Biden, and you can say that he's in that White House, maybe, but that doesn't mean that he has that job, that he is officially that person. You can pretend to inaugurate him, but you know, that doesn't make him the president. So President Trump is my president. He was rightfully elected. And the interesting thing that I think is going to come out if they do go through with this impeachment, which it looks like they're going to try to do, is that is that is that there's going to be all this evidence, and the evidence of the voter fraud is coming out, the election fraud. I don't think that they're really. I don't think they understand what they're doing, what they're getting themselves into. Uh, One more thing I wanted to touch on before I end the show here, and I apologize for the interruptions today. Stock market. To put people in timeout. Um, there's a couple things that coordinated with insider drops. And one of those is that, I don't know if you guys saw this, is that the stock that the Redditors picked to drive the price up and to sort of stick it to Wall Street, to the hedge fund managers, was GameStop. And I thought that was very interesting. And because one of the things that our military intelligence insider, our favorite letter of the alphabet, has said many times is game on. And I thought that was kind of, I just thought that was kind of an interesting little connection there. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting is that the person who started that Reddit thread, the avatar of the person running the Reddit thread, is a guy with like flaming yellow hair, and he's kind of a hot shot, right? It's a little cartoon character who looks that one of the expressions that they're using in these Reddit threads about this stock technology, right, for getting a stock price to go up. And so when Don Jr. came out the other day to talk about what was going on and about how Robinhood app had shut down trading and was unfairly manipulating the market, Don Jr. said at the very end of his video, which you can see his videos on Telegram. He's on Telegram. He ended by saying "to the moon," and he said that a couple of times. And I just think that it's a very interesting scenario. And I've been reading these threads on Reddit, and I've been reading the boards on Reddit, and I've been following this a little bit, and I've been looking at the stocks, and I've been sort of reading between the lines about activity that people are noticing. And nobody on those boards is attributing this to our favorite letter of the alphabet or to the president. But I just, my spidey senses are telling me that this whole event with what happened with the GameStop stock is more, there's more to it than meets the eye. Because one of the things that we have had to see we knew that Wall Street was corrupt, of course. And one of the and the thing that got really that the media and the Wall Street hacks were so upset about last week. They were incensed that just regular retail investors that regular retail investors were had the gall to break into their territory and to break their algorithm and to mess with their manipulation of the stock market. And it just, it reminds me of everything else we've seen out of these elites, rules for thee, but not for me. And they literally cut off trading to the retail investors on, I think, Thursday. And some of the apps had it so that with the GameStop stock that you could sell, but you couldn't buy. So think about that. People, regular investors, are on apps like Robinhood and Cash App, and they're trying to buy more of this stock, and they're cut off from buying, but they can sell. And then the app actually liquidated their shares for them, which is highly illegal, by the way. So here's the question, though. If and this is where the corruption is so rampant, if the market is telling you that you can't buy, but that you can sell, well, how is it if they just said nobody can buy? So how can you sell if there's nobody to buy? Well, the answer to that is that there is somebody to buy, but it's the institutional investors. So they literally put the stop on retail investors, right? The mom and pops, the little guy, the college student, or whatever. They literally put the stops and made it so that you or I only could sell, and that. And so we've seen any doubt that it's rigged. Who did they just nominate for a Nobel Peace Prize? Black Lives Matter. Are you kidding me? What? So, I mean, I could go on, but this whole thing with what's going on with the stock market, don't gloss over it. Take some time to learn what's really happening here and sort of the ins and outs of it, because it really is fascinating and it's historic. Pretty much everything connected to the president and everything that he's doing is historic. But I'm just telling you that I wouldn't be surprised if this whole thing, if whoever is running that Reddit board and whoever came up with the idea to run up the price on this one stock that was being shorted by this hedge fund, who I think that it just it feels like Trump. There's Trumpism all over this whole operation. It feels like our favorite letter of the alphabet. There's more to this than meets the eye. And I think if you really start to read the boards and just read the comments and read between the lines and listen to Don Jr. and look at the things he's tweeting, will it ever come out that that's Trump who did that? But I just think it's very interesting, and the other thing too is, okay, so GameStop is one of the stocks, and the other one that they're working on now is AMC. So if you have some extra money that you want to put into the market, the people on the Reddit boards are now running up AMC because the contracts on those are expiring, and so they're trying to outrun the hedge fund managers on that one. And so think about that, because if you think about some of the drops from our favorite letter of the alphabet, one of the things that you have GameStop and you have two stocks out of all the stocks that hedge funds have shorted. And emphasized right now. Everything just froze. So Gail says she doesn't think it was President Trump. It may not be, but I get a sense about these things, and I've been really watching him. I've really been paying attention to him and his MO, and just picking up. So you really need to asking for notifications. So basically, I go live. You now, their notifications sometimes come your watch. That's the easiest way to know. Set your alarm to know when I'm coming live, and then go on one of those platforms. Go on Facebook, CloutHub, or YouTube. And I'm very sorry about Facebook. I just don't know how. I don't know what to do. I mean, I'm trying to troubleshoot all of this. Facebook was messing around with it before. I had videos that were going viral. Share this with as many people as you can, because this is where I am for now. And I'm just going to keep going. There's nothing I can do about it right now. Nothing I can do. Just pray for open doors, for a good platform for me that is reliable, and for my system to be, not lagging either. You'd think with what we pay for internet that we would have super high speed uploads and that nothing would lag, but it looks like we're lagging a little bit. So anyway, what I was going to say is that I talked about this in the beginning. Make sure that you contact me if you are thinking about getting into the superfoods transformation. And the thing about what we're doing with superfoods is, we talk a lot about people losing weight, but the truth is, if you're having issues with sleep, weight, either weight loss or weight gain, inflammation, pain, energy issues, even emotions, hormonal kind of issues, digestion, there's a lot of things that are addressed with the superfoods, because it's just such high quality nutrition. You're really getting the best green organic superfoods on the planet into your body every single day, and it comes right to your door. And so, so that's the best thing. So send me an email, info at Mary Grace of your full month's supply. And it looks like YouTube at 5 Eastern. Make sure you email me, info at marygracemedia.com. It's not too late. Get your New Year's resolutions going and get healthy, because we have a country to save, and we have to work. You know, the president's coming back, and so you got to be ready. A lot of people are unhealthy, and a lot of it has to do with the food that we put in our bodies. So take responsibility, invest in yourself, get your superfoods, info at marygracemedia.com. And then also go to my website, marygracemedia.com, and wait for the pop up and subscribe to my mailing list. And then finally, if you want to partner with my show, you can go to marygracemedia.com, click on support, and you can there's a couple of ways that you can either do monthly or one-time contributions to the show. So have a great afternoon, everybody, and I will be back tomorrow at 5 Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and CloutHub at Mary Grace Media.